Here we go. OMG. Another cutie in my life, Mario Fabbri, is going to be on the Lillian McDermott radio show because we are trying vegan today with Mario. So fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. And by the way, Mario, I didn't tell you that once you hear the music, which I don't think we hear it yet, once you hear the music,
yeah,
it's time to dance.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's turn up the volume just a little bit. This is my theme song.
I like it.
You like it? You can barely hear it. Maybe it's just me. Can you hear it?
I got it.
Oh, let me see these moves, Mario. At 5 o'clock in the morning, or is it? Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Everybody dance like Mario. You should add that to your segment.
Right, now we're waking up.
Stretching for all the people that are stretching early in this morning. Okay, here we go. I love this guy.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend.
I am recording, right?
Yep. Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in to the Lillian McDermott radio show for the last 7 years, welcome back. And if you are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show and you just stumbled upon me for the first time, let me tell you that the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can turn to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to learn a new truth and embrace the life of your dreams. Now, today I'm really excited because I learned about my guest through a show that Dr. Joel Fuhrman was on. As you know, Dr. Fuhrman is a regular on my show once a month. He is on the Lillian McDermott radio show for the last 2.5 years. And so I learned about this young man, Mario Fabbri, who is trying something different. And again, in 2013, I have shared this with you before, I was challenged on my radio show to go raw vegan for 1 month. I accepted the challenge. But about 3 or 4 days after, maybe even 5, I'm thinking, wow, I didn't feel bad. But now I feel good. I feel better. Was there better? I did not know that there was better. And because I started feeling better, it brought this new awareness of what else is out there. No one ever told me food can make me feel better. So I thought, it changed my life. And that's why the show changed as well. The woman who started the show is not the woman who is speaking to you today. So Mario Fabbri, the young man that I learned about through Dr. Joel Fuhrman, was exposed to a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And can you imagine? For me, is like Spanish, Italian, and I had to deal with that in my family, kind of rejecting all of this. But for him, his grandfather is the founder of a sausage company. Can you imagine? Can you imagine thinking that he would be the sausage king of the family? And he says, let me see, I'm going to try vegan for a little bit. Mario is going to share his journey today and what led him to this decision. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Mario Fabbri is here to do just that. Welcome, Mario, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Yes, thank you, Lillian, so much for having me. I love your enthusiasm. I am feeling amazing out here in Los Angeles, California. Woke up and had a purple antioxidant superfood smoothie. It's 5 a.m. in California, but I'm feeling like it's the middle of the day and I got full energy right now.
Isn't it amazing? Now, I know that there is more to the story that meets the eye because all of a sudden, Mario's all over the place. But prior to that, share a little bit about your background and what led you to your awareness that food can be a tool to heal every cell in your body?
Yeah, so right now I am in the middle of this mission to learn as much as I can about the benefits for eating more plant-based foods, whether that be for our own health, whether that be for the environment, or whether that even just be for our own general spirituality and how it could affect just our everyday perception of the world, how the food industry is. So that's the mission that I'm on right now. And it all started a couple of years ago when I was in college, and I was just eating total garbage. I was eating ramen. I was eating a bunch of processed meats. I was putting horrible things into my body, and it was starting to take a toll on me. I was in college. I was having some of the most demanding routines and scheduling that I ever needed. And I was starting to notice that what I put in my body has a large effect on the output that I could put into the world. So right around that time, I was about 20 years old. And actually, one of my best friends, he ended up losing about 100 pounds while we were away at college. Yes, one of my best friends, he was in pretty bad health. He ends up losing 100 pounds, hadn't seen him in a couple of months. And I come back and I ask him, what did you do to get in this best shape of your life? He lost 100 pounds, but his skin was glowing. He gets this beautiful girlfriend. He's motivating and inspiring all of our friends and family, and his life just completely changed. And I just asked him, what did you do? What did you do to get into this best shape of your life? And he basically said he just started cooking his own food. He's like, I started cooking quinoa and eating kiwis. I remember those were the two foods that he mentioned right off the bat, was quinoa and kiwis. I'd never heard of quinoa before. I'd never even eaten a kiwi before at the time. But I was instantly motivated. I saw this person who had transformed their health, and that's when I realized that there is much more to this standard American diet that we're told that we're supposed to be eating. Maybe this isn't right. And from there, I just kind of became obsessed. I started picking up books. I started learning how to cook. I read one of Dr. Joel Fuhrman's books, who was one of the main guests on your show. And that is really what kind of sent me on this path to learn about what we should be eating to get into the best shape of our lives.
Oh, wonderful, Mario. And we're going to continue our conversation with Mario Fabbri when we return. For those of you who want to learn more about Mario, go to tryingveganwithmario.com. We're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Good job, Mario. Right on up. Like I'm going, woo!
That came quick.
Interestingly enough, because I knew that there would be some story. And obviously you are very open because you didn't have to, even though you may not have been feeling well, you didn't know. We've gotten so used to feeling bad as normal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everybody I feel like is operating at 80 to 90%. That's kind of what I noticed. And you just get used to it. You just get like comfortable in your routine. You're like, oh, like, I guess like at the middle of the day, I am going to crash. Like everybody else is kind of crashing. But seriously, if I eat like mostly plant-based and like even just fruit all day long, I have like 20 hours of energy. It's insane. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Well, how old are you now, Mario?
I'm 26.
You're 26. Okay. Yeah. So you're young. You're younger than my youngest.
Okay.
So my youngest is 28.
Okay.
And so, and it is interesting to see what our millennials are looking like now. Millennials go through life. They're eating a lot of fast foods. They're eating a lot of things from a box, high sodium, high sugar, and their quality of life, what they think, like you were talking about, 80 to 90%, but I'm saying the younger generation, the younger millennials are probably maybe at 50, but because they're young, it helps, they can balance it out, right? Because you're young. But as you get older and that 80% turns into 50% and then it goes to 20%, and we really don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. Exactly.
And it's expected as you get older to get sick.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, I want to feel better the next 50 years of my life than I did my first 50 years. Yeah. And so with you being 26, man, you're cooking with gas. You're going to be way ahead of most people when you are my age.
Yes, no, I know. And I think a big part of that is like also finding your purpose and having that motivation to want to be the best you
Let's
be.
talk about that. There's no motivation than finding out some friend of yours got a girlfriend with 100 pounds less, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I
I
heard
want
that. Okay, here we go.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. Today's teacher is Mario Fabbri of Trying Vegan with Mario. You can find his show at Roku, and we'll find a little bit more when we can watch, how we can watch. But for now, Mario is sharing his journey with us of how he saw his best friend go from 100 pounds overweight to losing or releasing, because we don't lose anything on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. We release so that somebody else can find it.
Yes.
So we release it. And so he saw his friend release 100 pounds and get a girlfriend. I think that right there, the get a girlfriend is what had you at hello. So, because here's the thing, Mario, and this is one thing we didn't talk off the air when we were just now chatting, is most people have to receive a catastrophic, you are dying kind of like awakening with a 2x4. Very rarely do you see somebody that is a partner or a friend that has gone through a transformation where you want to learn more. Most people go, yeah, that works for you. I'm not ready for this. I'm just going to continue eating my ribs and my French fries. What was it about that? Because at your age, and this was like, what, 3 years ago, did your journey start with food?
Yeah, give or take.
Okay. So 3 years ago, now you're 23, you're invincible, right? And you're looking at your friend release 100 pounds. One can say, well, he needed to lose the weight. But you saw it as an opportunity to learn more. What was that shift for you? Because as I'm sure that part of your life, you saw meat as a part of your dinner.
Yes. I think that one of the biggest shifts for me in terms of wanting to change my life to eat healthier, it kind of had to do with just a coming of age and just seeing that a lot of things in the world and a lot of things that we accept as common knowledge don't necessarily have to be true. Common knowledge becomes common knowledge because of repetition, because people keep saying it. It's not always necessarily the best way for things to be. So, for example, when I was in college, I was going to school to get a degree in mathematics. I was very talented at math, and that's what my high school guidance counselor told me. He said, you're good at math. You should become an actuary. An actuary has one of the highest demanding jobs through 2020. It has great pay. And what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life is you're going to be behind a desk calculating statistics for insurance companies for 25-year-olds who are moving to California and have this amount of risk to get in a car accident. And this is how much you charge them. So
sounds thrilling.
It's a great job. And that was one of the things that I had accepted as a part of my future. I'm young, I'm 20 years old. This is going to be my future. And this is my eating habits. And these are all the things that have been cemented for me since I was born. Even to the point of my dad owning an Italian sausage factory and growing up much of my life working there and visiting there and having an aspiration to be a part of that as well. There are so many things I think that we accept as common knowledge and so many things that we're told we're supposed to do, especially I'm 26 now. I can't tell you how many friends I have who are going through these motions and now they're getting to this point of, what is my purpose? What is my mission? What am I doing working at this company that isn't providing a love and value to my life? So I think this all ties back together to food, because once I saw that the food we're being told to eat is dramatically, impacting us in a negative way, it really flipped the switch for everything. And that's when I was like, I need to go on this mission and I got to find like the truth about what we should be eating. I got to find, what are the companies that are living with integrity, that are providing the right ingredients, and what should we be eating, and what is the best way to, discover myself, discover my purpose. And I think through food and through my cooking show was an incredibly good outlet. So it kind of all just snowballed at once. It was like career change, mindset change, and
Yeah.
everything, which I think is something so important for everybody to go through at some point.
Well, I for some reason I thought it was your grandfather, so I apologize for the research I did. I thought it was your grandfather that owned the sausage factory.
My grandfather founded it, and then my
Found it.
dad took it over.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so
Yes.
that sausage is in your blood.
Yes.
It's you grew up with it. It was part of your culture. It was part of the stories you shared at the table, the laughter, all the different times. So at what point do you tell your parents, I am walking away from this to become vegan? And did they reject you? Did they reject this? Did they say, oh, this too shall pass? You'll come back to the sausage factory where you belong?
Yeah, so it all happened really quickly. I went to Boulder, Colorado for college, and Boulder, Colorado in general is historical for its alternative ways of thinking. So
Yeah.
I go there and I come back and I have all these different insights. I'll never forget one of my first experiences with exposing my parents to my obsession with eating more plant-based foods was we're cooking a holiday dinner, and there's a certain amount of tradition. I'm sure everybody, your family's at home. There's certain things that you cook every single holiday. There's a little baby cousin who's peeling the potatoes. There's the one person who's responsible for the desserts and everything like that.
Yep. Sounds like my house.
Yes, and I have an Italian family, so I'm sitting there and my dad is preparing the pineapple upside down cake of all things. And there is just so much butter that goes into this recipe. And it tasted delicious at the time. It was one of my favorites, but I come home from college, I have this new insight and I'm like, Dad, we're not using butter in the pineapple upside down cake. Like, that was my first rebellion. And he looks at me like I'm freaking crazy. Like, and especially Italians, they kind of get their way about food in the kitchen. They're very passionate, So at that point, I told him we got to get rid of the butter in the pineapple upside down cake, and it all kind of came out from there. And I will say, at first, my parents were definitely apprehensive about the changes that I was going through, but I've been lucky that my parents are very supportive of me. They never took it the wrong way. And when I started to educate my dad about the reasons why I was interested in eating more plant-based foods, a lot of it does even go back to him. I see a lot of people in older generations who are suffering from heart disease, who are suffering from diabetes, and so many different types of illnesses, and he's kind of getting to that age. So I had to find a way to open up to him, but a lot of this has to do with wanting to help see my parents get in the best shape of their lives. So he was able to appreciate the place that I was coming from. If you have people who support you and they're a little bit unsure about the direction that you're going in life, at least show them that you're coming from a place of, you want to better yourself. And I think that people can get along on that journey. And one thing that kind of has been interesting about this in terms of, so first of all, I had to convince my parents to support me for just taking this alternative lifestyle. But then after that, I had to figure out a way to relate vegan food to a sausage king in Chicago, and that is a part of my mission. Trying vegan with Mario, I'm trying to figure out the best tips, tricks, techniques, and recipes to help people eat more plant-based food. So one of the ways that I had to navigate this with my dad was, one of the reasons why people go vegan is a lot of times for the animals, because they see what's going on in the food industry. But that clearly was not going to matter to me. I grew up going to a sausage factory where there are animal carcasses hanging from the ceiling. There are meat grinders, there's meatball machines, there's everything. That wasn't it for me, and I knew that wasn't going to be it for my dad. And then a lot of people eat more vegan food for the health aspects. So I was able to relate to that a little bit and kind of start to impact him by telling him about the impacts of processed meats on our health and on our cardiovascular health. But I'm not an expert nutritionist or scientist, so that wasn't necessarily the thing that was able to relate to him most. But then what I found, which was super interesting, and my dad's a businessman. He has this Italian sausage factory. He's trying to grow a business. He's owned this company practically his whole life. So what I started to teach my dad about, which actually made him finally interested in vegan food, was I started to show him the supply and demand of vegan Italian sausage. You know, there are a lot of companies out there who are making vegan sausage. So I figured, you know, the animals weren't going to change him. The health benefits weren't necessarily going to change him. But once I started to be able to figure out a way to relate to my dad on a level that had been so true to him his whole life, which was growing a business, he started to actually be interested in vegan food. And now I got my dad brainstorming vegan sausage recipes. You know, he's like, people want to eat more vegan plant-based foods. This is exciting to him. Because he's a master at developing those deep spices, those deep flavors. Sausage is something where you use a lot of fennel, you use a lot of very
rosemary,
very specific Italian spices. Where how can we recreate that in something that's plant-based? So I found that to be an interesting journey of getting my dad to try and drop the butter to eventually being able to relate to him on a level where he started to be excited about vegan food. And now he's asking me a ton of questions about it all the time.
Well, I tell you what, your teacher was correct in saying that you were really good with this actuarials. What did you call them? Actuaries?
Yeah, actuary, yes.
Yeah, so you're doing that for your father.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're leading him, you're speaking his language, which I think is very admirable because, you know, you could have been speaking to him at a level that he wasn't understanding. But what you're doing is you are a generational pattern shifter. You're taking the trend where I don't know the lifespan in your family. I don't know what that is, but you may be changing it either for your father and yourself and the people after you. That's a generational pattern shifter. Good for you.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think that's so important, is to figure out ways to evolve. You know, every generation I think is supposed to be excel further than the previous one. So it only makes sense that the people younger than us, I think, are learning more and developing more and building off of the things that we've built into this world. So I feel so blessed to be able to have this opportunity with this cooking show where I could actually impact a lot of people through that learning experience.
Well, let's talk about your show. You know, how do you go from learning by reading a book and seeing your friend and to deciding you want to do a television show? How do you do that? Because you need the capital. I mean, there's a lot, because I know what doing a radio show is like. So what about a television show?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it all started from just following something that I believed in and just believing in it so wholeheartedly. And that is that we can live better lives if we eat more plant-based food. So that was the foundation. First, I had to have that learning lesson. But then what I started to do was at the time, I was like, how can I teach people about healthy food? The first thing I did was I could start writing recipes. So I start writing recipes. And then after that, I'm like, I want to be able to show people these recipes. So I get a camera and I start photographing those recipes. And then I start building out a healthy food blog and inviting my friends and family to try and experience some of that. And, you know, you learn how to code a website online and you build a website and you open up.
You didn't need to go to college. You have everything you need already programmed, downloaded in you.
Exactly. I call it YouTube University. I went to YouTube University, which I love and encourage so many people to do. So I really started to self-teach myself a lot of these things. And then one thing that allowed me to turn this passion into an actual job was I found a company who manufactures kitchen appliances, and they ended up hiring me to make a ton of video content for them.
Wow.
So they make toasters, air fryers, blenders, you know, you name it, they manufacture it. So I was lucky to figure out at a time when I dropped out of college. I didn't finish college. Right at the time when I dropped out of college, I was able to find new opportunities to apply what I had learned to make money. So it was amazing.
Very good. Very good. And we're going to continue our conversation with Mario when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Look at that. 1 second off. 1 second to go.
I'm killing you. I'm sorry, Lillian.
No. It's okay. It's okay.
You asked that question at 1 minute. I was like, shit, this is going to take me a while.
No. Okay. So no. You're real good. Real good. You did just exactly what you need to do. Now, okay. So here's the thing about YouTube University. There's a lot of information that is not real.
Yes.
And so I did a meme not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago, are we just as smart as Google? You know, it used to be that we would have to research things. We'd go get some books. We'd make our own decision. We'd look at all the evidence. But now anybody can say anything and it's published. So we have to be very careful because there are people out there that are sending the wrong information. And it's really good that you have, I saw that Banana Reel. Is that your company that you started? It was
that was my production company that I would do all the videos from. Yeah.
That is great. So you started doing that because I did a little research on you, my young man.
I like it.
Yeah. And so that's how you started with, so you started on the one end, you're doing this for somebody else.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you got in front of the camera. So so at what point do you say, okay, I'm going to go from behind the camera to be in front of the camera? At what point did that happen? And how did you find sponsors to do that?
Yes. So the way that I went from behind the camera to in front of the camera was literally in a split second. So for this company, Chefman, they had a new waffle maker that they needed a chef to demonstrate how to use because it had some crazy innovative filling technology. We won't get into that, but they had this cool new fancy waffle maker. And I was filming and producing. I had a team behind me, and I was at the time directing this chef how to demonstrate the waffle maker, get the shots that we need. So the video goes up on Amazon.com and it helps sell the products, right? Well, they fired the chef right before this new waffle maker came out.
Gosh.
So, and they had this big launch and it was a big product for them. So they need somebody to go on camera. And I was just like,
I'll do it.
I'll do it. Like, I've been directing this guy. Honestly, he hasn't been taking my direction very well. I think I could give this a shot. So I went on camera. This was less than a year ago. I go on camera for my first time, and they really liked my personality. They really liked the job that I did, and they're like, "From now on, you're the guy, and your team's going to film you." So I started doing a bunch of product demonstrations after that, and then out of the blue, the waffle maker that I become the waffle master of ends up getting picked up to go on QVC. Are you familiar with QVC?
Of course. Who hasn't been familiar with QVC?
the massive on TV shopping channel. So it gets picked up for QVC. And at the time, I was the guy who was doing the waffle maker demonstration. So they sent me on QVC. I'm going on.
How cute is that?
I'd ever been on camera. They sent me on QVC to give an 8-minute demonstration of this new waffle maker in front of millions of viewers. And right before I go on the air, the guy who is prepping me, he says this to me. He says, "Mario, there are a lot of people watching, and we have a high goal. We got to sell a lot of these waffle makers. And I just want to tell you that the result of how many waffle makers we sell has everything to do with the host. It has everything to do with you.
No pressure.
If we sell a lot of waffle makers, that's on you. If we sell no waffle makers, that's on you. So I need you to connect to this audience." And I'm just like, why? Yeah, no pressure. Why'd you have to tell me that? But that also put me in a good position because when we did sell twice as many waffle makers as our goal, and I did a great job, I was like, okay, like I have clearly something about this is, calling me in. And at that point, a few other stories, I see we got 15, a few other things started happening and led me to having my cooking show. And it was amazing.
Wow. Now, did the QVC sponsor you for this, or is this
for my cooking show?
Yeah.
So, well, to keep the story going.
Are we back on? Brian. Okay, here we go. Hold that thought. Okay, this is where I talk about my social media and my show, and then I'll introduce you again.
Do it.
Text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. You can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we learn from each other. The person in front of you knows something you don't know. Discover, be curious, and learn something new with a childlike wonder, not just be ignorant. When I say be like a child, It's not about ignorance. It's about being curious. And I want to encourage this language, and I want to encourage something different with the show. I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. If you say you're going to do it later, it's not true. So let's do it now. If you're driving, pull over, but become a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com. Let's have this conversation on and off the air. This is a conversation of 100% responsibility. Being an owner of your life, being the creator so that you know what your next, you do everything you possibly can so that you live the life that you want. No more blaming others that you don't have what you want, because there's enough abundance in this world for you to receive. So this is where we take 100% responsibility for our lives. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. When you do that, the show gets sent to you. And if you become a subscriber at my YouTube video, which, by the way, it changed to YouTube/C/Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Or you can just go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the YouTube video icon, and it'll take you there. Subscribe there. These shows will be sent to you on your tablets, your phones. So let's continue the conversation. So while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, click on to my social media, like me there, tell your friends to do the same, help me grow the show. And while you do that, while you're there playing around, looking at all the stuff that's there, go to my sponsors page. Without my sponsors, this show would not happen. So figure out ways that you can support my sponsors the way they're supporting the show. Now, also, you can find me on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify. Did I say, yeah, I did say iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, I don't know. And of course, YouTube. So you can find me on demand there. And as always, you can call me 407-373-5959. If you have a question for Mario, if you have a question for me, you can call or text 407-373-5959. And if for those of you who have been just tuning in, you just tuned in, we are talking to Mario Fabbri. He has a show called Trying Vegan with Mario. Mario, how did you come up with this name, Trying Vegan with Mario?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think Trying Vegan with Mario really describes exactly what it is. We are trying to eat more plant-based foods, and we're doing it together. Mm-hmm. So the reason that this show started, and a little bit of how I came up with the name of it, was so I mentioned earlier I was going on this transition to eating more plant-based foods. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, what is the best way to learn? There's so much information out there in the world. We kind of talked about it off camera about how you could go on YouTube and you could find somebody to tell you tons of reasons why one thing is true, and then you could find somebody saying the exact opposite.
Correct.
So the internet is a dangerous place to learn your information. So I was like, I want to go on this mission where I want to learn as much as I can about plant-based food, and I want to learn from the world's top experts, the top nutritionists, the top vegan chefs in the world. I put together this big mission and this big vision for what my show would become at the time when I was just barely filming a pilot in my tiny dinky little kitchen. But I wanted to be able to create this authentic experience of me learning about plant-based food, being this guy who was raised in an Italian family.
Sausage King,
Italian beef and cheese lasagna were two of the only recipes I knew at the time. So I really wanted to just tell my authentic story and show people what it's like to transition to eating more plant-based foods. So that's exactly what it is.
Yes. And real quick, because as you are bringing your background, you're talking about lasagna and you're talking about sausage. How do you take that now? Because it's very filling in a way it's not as healthy for you than the plant-based. How do you make that transition? Because with Dr. Joel Fuhrman, no oils, very little salt, very little sugar. How do you transition there?
Yes. So that's been honestly a challenge. Finding that delicious food is a big part of that mission. So yes, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, author of the Eat to Live cookbook, and the Eat to Live book, and one of my favorites was Fasting and Eating for Health. He came on my show and he started teaching me all these really in-depth scientific reasons why I should be eating all these vegetables and cooking with no oil and taking it to the complete and total extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to learn a lot about that, and I was able to learn about we did a whole episode on chickpeas and beans, and Dr. Fuhrman's teaching me about how beans are the most commonly linked food group in the places that are researched where people live the longest lives, these places called the blue zones where the most people live to being 100. Beans are one of the most commonly linked foods in all those places. So in that episode, maybe we're cooking with less oil and it's less on the delicious, delectable side, but when you hear something like that, it sticks with you. And he goes into the deep nutrition and science behind it, and I'm not going to pretend to be a nutritionist on TV. So you got to watch the episode to learn exactly why beans are a relationship with that. But when you learn something like that, it really impacts you and gives you more motivation and more excitement and more obsession to eat more plant-based foods. So on one side, I have the doctor, and then on another episode, I had this girl. Her name's Lauren Toyota. She has a YouTube channel called Hot for Food, and she is famous right now for being the queen of vegan comfort food. So on that episode, I was able to dive a little bit into those deeper flavors and textures. That was I have the nutrition episode with Dr. Fuhrman, but this is the comfort food. So I had Lauren came on my show, and she taught me how to make fried cauliflower that literally peels and tastes and has the texture of buffalo chicken wings, which is something that I grew up absolutely loving. So I was able to find that balance. She also has this vegan cheese recipe. She shows me how we could take boiled potatoes and boiled carrots. So this is Lauren Toyota's vegan cheese recipe that she taught me on.
Great.
You take boiled potatoes, boiled carrots, and you throw those in a blender, and you add nutritional yeast, you add tomato paste, a little bit of oil, garlic, salt, onion powder, and a little bit of arrowroot flour.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly healthy ingredients. We got the nutritional yeast, we got vegetables. You blend all that up, and it makes the most insane cheese recipe.
Really?
Oh, I forgot one of the key ingredients. You add jalapeno brine and jalapenos. Yes. So we got the potatoes, we got the jalapenos, we got the nutritional yeast, tomato paste. Put that in a blender, blend it up, and it makes one of the most cheesy vegan things I don't even know how to explain it, but it tastes like nacho cheese when you go to a baseball game, but it's based on vegetables. So to be able to discover those types of recipes through my show has been super encouraging and made it super easy for me to go from eating Italian beef and cheese lasagna. I'm making this cheese almost every single day. So I think to wrap that up, two of the keys are finding the motivation. Why are you eating more plant-based food? For me, a lot of times that was health and that was curiosity. But then also finding the recipes that help you make that transition, because we're not going to jump in 100% right away. I don't expect people to watch my show and leave being like, I'm going to be vegan right now. A lot of the people that watch my show they're the complete opposite of vegan. They're trying to eat more plant-based food. They don't know where to begin. So we got to give them both sides. We got to give them the nutrition, but you also got to give them the fun stuff as well. So that's what my show is all about. It's not being perfect. It's about making good steps.
What I like about the title, and it's the trying. People come to me and they say, I could never give up my meat. And I say, okay, I'm not trying to make you give up your meat, but can you reduce it? Because many people are getting sick because meat just sits there. Think about it. If you have meat sitting in your countertop at 100 degrees in your house, come back 3 days later, what is your house going to smell like? And so that's what our body goes through, and having much more vegetables. So that, I love the word trying vegan. You're not saying you're vegan. You're saying you just try it. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing about veganism. They're taking their foods and turning it more like a standard American vegan diet. We have to be very careful with that too, because the standard American diet has been proven to, like Dr. Joel Fuhrman says, it couldn't have been designed better by Al-Qaeda to kill us all.
Yeah. Oh.
And so it's very important that, the no oils, no salts, no sugars, it's so important that we embrace that as well. And
Yeah.
so with that in mind, and I'm looking at the time, and we're stuck there at 1 minute. I'm hoping, Brian, that we're still on the air. It's been stuck at 1 minute for a while. So I just want to make sure that we're still on the air. Music has started. There we go. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about how do you create a recipe. We're going to talk about that off the air, and maybe I can bring some recipes on the air by Mario when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Sorry about that, Mario. I was looking at that. It said 2 minutes, and then it sat there at 1 minute, and it had been more than 1 minute, at least in my biological clock here.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? Sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to question you, but I thought maybe we weren't getting messages in. Remember when that happened? There was a time where we weren't getting the messages through, and I got a text, and I didn't have my phone on. There we go. Okay, good. All good. Good. Okay, so let's talk about creating recipes, because I love cooking without oil.
Oh.
I can make an eggplant parmesan without any cheese, without any oils, and I bake my parmesan. I dip it in the seasoning, and I bake it, and I cut the eggplant very thin. And of course, I love chickpea flour, so I'm a big chickpea girl, and I use that as my lasagna.
Yeah.
So what have been some recipes that you've been able to create that you feel very proud of?
Yes. So there have been tons. But I think for me, something that I really love is like keeping it very simple and giving people tools that they can make with 3 ingredients or less. That's something that I found to be the most helpful for people that I'm trying to help transition to eating more plant-based food.
Yeah.
So, for example, one that I thought was just mind-blowing to me was just making your own jellies. So jelly, for example, if you get it from the store, a lot of times it's packed with excessive amounts of sugar, so many fake chemical ingredients to preserve it for forever. But something that I love doing on my show and something that I add to a ton of my other recipes is I make my own jellies.
Use chia? Do you use chia?
Yeah, exactly. I use chia. So all you have to do is get
simple.
Yeah, get like a saucepan, a little bit hot, add some raspberries and strawberries to it. Let it reduce a little bit. You don't want to cook away all of it so it's just a condensed sugar, but let it simmer a little bit. I squeeze in a lemon, and then you just add like 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. And you just stir that around, soak that up, and then I throw that in my refrigerator, and I literally have chia jelly like almost every single day.
Interesting that you would do that and you would heat it, because you can do that without heating it, you know.
Can you?
Yes. And that way you're not destroying the component of it.
Yeah. Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's the one little less healthy aspect of it. I definitely am killing some of those nutrients.
Try it. Just let it sit there. Because do you use fresh or frozen?
I use fresh.
You do? Yeah. See, I've gotten to the point where some of my fruits are, they are fresh, but most of them are frozen, because it's, you can't go through that much and keep it, especially with the demand. I love to eat, and I'm sure that's your motivation too.
Oh yeah.
So if you were to take some blueberries and add some chia, the chia will expand no matter what.
Okay.
And now you have like 100%. And if you need to make it a little sweeter, a medjool date might work too.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. See, this is why I'm coming on other people's shows. 'Cause like, this is probably in real time. So I like to say to everybody, I am not the expert. I'm learning from people who have more experience than me and come from different little angles. So, I leave this Lillian McDermott show, and the next jelly episode you see, I'm going to be explaining how, all right, we're not going to be destroying the fruit nutrients as much. I talked to Lillian. She gave me this tip. We're going to try this out. So.
Lillian needs to be there. I'll be flying over.
Yeah, come out to California.
Yeah, let's do it. Here we go. Last segment. Can you believe it?
Wow. It's a quick hour. This is fun.
It is. 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from each other. Today's teacher is Mario Fabbri, and you can find him at Cooking or Trying Vegan with Mario, tryingveganwithmario.com. You can go to his website. You could also find him on Roku. How can we find you if we want to watch your episodes, Mario?
Yes. So right now my show is exclusively available on Roku.
Roku. Did I say
Roku.
Roku?
You said Roku.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
You
Okay.
got it. Yeah. Exclusively available on Roku. Roku's a streaming device. It also is something that comes built into TVs. I like to say it's like Apple TV for people who don't have Apple. But Roku right now is the main place that you could find it. And I'm starting to put some segments on YouTube. But I just want to talk about Roku really quick because I think it's super interesting that my show is able to even end up on Roku. So right now there is this big shift that seems to be happening in the food industry. And when I first created the pilot for my show, Trying Vegan with Mario, my first thought was, this is never going to work. Like nobody cares about vegan food. Like I'm way ahead of myself. But then the production company I was working with starts reaching out to their contacts. They reach out to PBS. They reach out to a few stations. And we ended up getting a lot of networks that were super interested in
Wow.
launching a plant-based show. They say the demand is there. The rise in plant-based food, the rise in people's awareness of what they're eating is skyrocketing, which was so encouraging for me. So to be able to get picked up by Roku, which is the largest streaming device in the world right now, they have 50 million users. And for mine to be one of only 2 vegan cooking shows that they have on there was such a blessing and such an incredible opportunity because, like I said, I didn't think that people necessarily were going to relate to my show. And it turns out after launching 4 months ago, we have over 130,000 downloads. And it got promoted to new and noteworthy on Roku. It's growing very quickly. So, I mean, I'm just blown away. But I think my whole point of this is that this isn't just a trend. People are actually starting to change their lives by eating more nutrient-dense plant-based foods. They have been for a long time. I'm not saying I'm a part of that change. The fact that
you are a part of the change. Every time that every one of us, if we do something small, collectively, it will be big.
Yes. Oh, love that. So to be a part of that is incredible. But what was so amazing was that these bigger companies, these bigger corporations who are usually the most resistant to change, actually see a ton of value in adding a vegan cooking show. And I think that, this is just high hopes for the future. Let's get rid of all those diners, drive-ins, and dives, all that garbage food. I think it's how can we make plant-based food fun and cool, and that's what I'm trying to do on my show.
Well, one of the recipes that you shared was a real quick dressing and that you did before the Dr. Fuhrman joined you on this episode that I saw, where you take avocados, nutritional yeast, and I love, by the way, I've never seen anyone squeeze a lemon or a lime as with more purpose than you. I usually use a squeezer. If I try to squeeze a lemon with my hand, I'd be calling my husband, honey. You are so good. Okay, so
Thank you.
Share that recipe with us, and so that we can at least try a dressing that's whole food plant-based today.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember that one exactly. That was actually a recipe taken directly out of Dr. Fuhrman's Eat to Live cookbook. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you guys to check that out. I know avocados was one of the main components, nutritional yeast, and some seasonings to it, maybe some water, perhaps apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
But I would encourage you to check out Dr. Fuhrman's cookbook because on that episode and on my show, I'm really trying these recipes for the first time sometimes. And that's what that was. I had the episode with Dr. Fuhrman where I invite him in and I go to his recipe book and I'm like, can I make one of these recipes and have it taste good, trying it for the first time? Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting component to my show where sometimes I am actually trying these recipes for the very first time. The last person you'd ever expect to be trying some variation of a healthy dressing, and it actually tastes good. So you're mentioning a creamy avocado dressing. I don't have the recipe off the top of my head.
Okay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I figured that was one of those recipes that you put a little bit of lemon in there, you put the nutritional yeast, the avocado, and it turns it into a cream. And on there you can add the seasonings that you like, and it is amazing. Little scallion, a little, garlic, and it just pops everything that you eat. And you put it on a bed of a lettuce and one of my favorite, purple cabbage. I love
Yes.
purple cabbage more than green cabbage. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, we taste with our eyes before our mouths
You
sometimes.
said
So
that.
see
That was
those
great.
colors, that gets really exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
great.
is there a recipe that, because for me, once I started eating this way, I got really creative in the kitchen and I
Yeah.
started putting things, comfort foods, but I stay with the no oil because I use the avocado oil as a whole, like
Yep.
a walnut as a whole.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what are some of the recipes that you've been able to create that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I created this?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite recipes that I ever created, and it's one of those fun, exciting ones to give to people who the last person you'd ever expect to like some plant-based foods like this. But I have a recipe for a banana burger on my website. That
Banana is like a ripe banana or
is
cooking
a
banana or green banana.
ripe banana. Okay. So banana burgers, it's making plant-based burgers with banana being one of the main ingredients. Okay.
Whoa.
It's a little bit like a hash brown. It doesn't get down to the meatiness of a burger, but surprisingly it does. And the thing about bananas, which I incorporate them into so much of my cooking, is that they really help bind together other ingredients. So they're an emulsifier is what it's called. So if you ever need to replace an egg with something, a banana is a great way to do it. So when making a veggie burger, I was like, all right, I need to bind this together. I was obsessed with bananas at the time, so I decided to try adding bananas to the recipe. It's bananas, corn, tofu, steamed cauliflower, chopped mushrooms, black beans, chia seeds, garlic, onion powder, and top it with an avocado. All those things blended together, and it actually makes like a delicious burger, and it's just
You bake
healthy.
it?
Yeah, you bake it, you blend all those ingredients together, and then you bake it. And then if you throw it on the grill after, you can get an extra texture to it. But yeah, and that's
How did you mold it? Because it sounds like it's really mushy. So with a banana and all the other ingredients that you put in there, it sounds a little mushy. How did you get it to form?
It formed together pretty well. I think
Okay.
you're going to have to go and see the exact measurements because you have to have the right amount of cauliflower and mushrooms because those are not as mushy as the banana and the tofu. But it forms really well. It formed it into a pretty good patty and a really good texture and amazingly delicious. And it just kind of shows you what you can do if you start to understand a concept and then get creative from there. Because I was like, I understand the concept of a veggie burger, but I want to do something that is a little bit in line with some of the creative things that I like to do. So I was like, I'm just going to throw a banana into this, see what happens. It doesn't sound good to most people, but I promise you it tastes.
But you know what? That banana will substitute all the sugar additives that the regular conventional veggie burger that you would get in the
Yeah.
supermarket. So that's brilliant. So
Yes.
brilliant that you figured out that banana would add the sufficient sweetness to
Yeah.
it. So good
Yeah.
job. Good job.
Totally.
I'm looking forward to
Thank you.
trying that. Where can I find that recipe, Mario?
That's on my website, tryingveganwithmario.com. It's one of the featured recipes towards the bottom.
Ah, you see, I didn't realize that. Okay, so I'm going to have to look at these featured recipes. And oh my goodness, look at all the recipes that are on there. I just stayed on the top area. I didn't know I could go to the
Okay.
bottom.
Yeah,
So
scroll to the
Mario,
bottom.
thank you so much. Real quick, because I know we have 1 minute left and the last minute was like seemed forever. Share real quick, what is the biggest lesson, one word that trying vegan for you has created?
One word, I would say thrive. I feel like ever since being on this journey, I'm thriving in passion. I'm thriving in delicious food. I'm thriving in meeting interesting people. And I'm thriving in feeling like I'm making a positive impact on the world that feels right. And I'm just trying to help as much as I can.
Thank you so much, Mario. I am so grateful that I've met you at this journey, that our paths have come together. And to you, my listening friend, consider trying vegan, whole food, plant-based. It truly does the body good. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. And that's it. So, okay. So real quick, because I have how's your time looking?
I'm good.
Okay. You're good. I loved the idea. I don't use sugar. There's no sugar in my house anymore.
Okay.
When people come over, actually, my husband broke down. He bought some sugar
Uh-huh.
for our guest when, because you can't push our lifestyle on people, because
Hmm.
instead of, and this is what I meant with during the show, when I said to you, most people would look at your friend who lost the 100 pounds, that released the 100 pounds, as, curious. You looked at it as curious.
Yeah.
But some people get turned off when that person's lifestyle changes so much that you no longer fit in to that life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see it all the time.
And so then what they do is they start making fun of them so that you don't have to join them. You kind of beat them.
Yeah.
And so, and beat them in the wrong way, because that's what happened with me. When I shifted and I said, I am going to try vegan.
Uh-huh.
And I did raw vegan for about 3 years until I met Dr. Joel Fuhrman.
Uh-huh.
And so then I love the nutritarian lifestyle because it brings a different component to my life.
Yep.
So with that in mind, you did not make fun of your friend. You joined your friend.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to join this mission, and you found your purpose. What advice do you have for people? Or have you discovered that that mocking, oh, look at him, look at what he thinks? Have you experienced that mocking of the changes?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I experience that all the time. And especially when I was younger, when I was in college and I was not, when I stopped drinking, I stopped partying, and I started pursuing working on a business, I was surprised. Like, a lot of my friends were making fun of me and not supporting that positive thing. And I've found that sometimes, honestly, you need to change your friend group. You need to change the people that are in your
Great
life.
advice. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It doesn't always mean that you have to get people to meet you where you're at. Honestly, I dropped a lot of those friends. There's certainly people in your life who you want to keep chipping away at and give more chances and get them to understand, people that are closer to you. But honestly, sometimes you just need to change your circle if you feel like you have a higher calling towards something that has purpose and other people aren't supporting that and they don't necessarily understand that.
Very good. Very wise advice. I'm telling you, your parents created a great young man.
Thank
Your
you
wisdom,
so much.
because, at 26 or even at 23, most people think they're invincible. And so as a result, you push your body to the max. But for
Mhm.
you to stop partying, you're focusing on a business and creating a business, that means that what they instilled in you has really taken root. And it, like you said, it's thriving within you because the soil that was within you was fertile.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And that comes from spending time with the right people and having the right little inputs. I'd encourage anybody who's younger or at any age, like, if you have an inkling that you want to do something, try and find somebody who's doing what you wish you would be doing and try and reach out to them. Try and recreate a new circle of people who are further along in the path that you see yourself wanting to go towards. That's what I did when I started my show. I made a list top 10 doctors and nutritionists I'd want to meet and work with. Dr. Fuhrman was number 1 on that list.
Great.
I would have never thought in a million years I would ever be able to get a hold of any of the people that I wanted to get in contact with. But you'd be surprised if you feel something drawing you in a certain direction and the people in your life are stopping you from going there. Reach out and find somebody who's already engaged in that community, and they'll make it a lot easier. They'll be way more inviting, and one mentor can completely change your entire life.
I'm telling you, you're speaking so much truth right now. It really is. I mean, I've been able, it's almost like I'm looking at the ghost of Lily past, in a male version of it, because that is exactly what the show has been for me. Learning from the best, and the responsibility, Mario, that you possess right now, the responsibility, because if you are out there, because there's a lot of people out there promoting a standard American diet with lots of fries and lots of, like things that are not supporting your health.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job and getting lots of thousands of followers. But what you're promoting is a longer, like your fans, our fans will be around much longer than the ones from them because they'll be dead.
Literally, yeah.
Think about it. And the responsibility that you will bear. So make sure you research everything, because there's so many fads out there, and I always go to Dr. Fuhrman, and keep in mind, don't follow just one person. And someone said to me just recently, I received a text from, how do you know? You have people that say vegan is good. You have people that saying you don't have to be 100% vegan. How do you discern that? I discern it as, and I say this at the end, there's a recording that says, do your own research, be your own medical detective, your own MD, and research it for yourself. This is my truth. That doesn't mean that it's your truth. Research it until it becomes your truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Research it a ton. Like, don't believe other people's research necessarily. And something that I've been doing, which is a little bit not always the healthiest right now, but is I do a lot of like body experimentation, like over the course of a month. And it's not always the healthiest, like I've even considered, like, should I do like a full carnivorous diet, get my blood work done, do a daily checklist of how I'm feeling, and do that for a month so that I could have that real-time, instantaneous feedback on what that transition is like. Because I've made this transition over time. I haven't done that yet, but something I've definitely been interested in is
here's my caution to you on that one. Yeah, here's my caution on you on that one. There are a lot of people who have done that.
Okay.
There are a lot of people. I would encourage you to take someone who lives that lifestyle, measure them.
Okay. Yeah, don't do the damage to myself.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand you not knowing any better, but once you learn something, it's hard to unlearn it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's hard to unlearn it. I encourage you to take a friend of yours that eats a certain way, that may have rejected your lifestyle, and say, hey, come with me. I'd like to do an experiment with you. Would you be willing to do it? That way you spare the self, because you're just a beautiful specimen of what getting into this lifestyle could be like. Now, the fact that, in sausage, and nothing against sausage, but sausage, bacon, deli meats, they are the number one carcinogen. It's way up there. So pretty much you can get anybody to do this experiment with you, because you can't lie numbers.
Yes.
You're a mathematician. You can't lie the numbers.
Yeah, I'm always looking for data. So absolutely.
Well, I just think, do whatever you want to do, because there's a lot of people out there that do it, where they eat the fries and they eat the burgers. Remember the guy that ate at McDonald's every day for 90 days? Yeah.
Supersize me.
Yeah, that's it. Supersize me. And you know what? He proved a point. But I think that you I
don't got to do that.
No, please don't, because you are learning and growing. I would say that as you go through this journey, yes, it's important, because I am my own guinea pig too.
Yeah.
But the people that I bring on the show, I used to bring people like the Whole30 and the people that wanted to do the bulletproof and all that. And I drew the line with certain things, because once you know where that truth is for you, then from here to there, from that, there's a whole new what we don't know that still exists there. So just recently, I learned from Dr. Michael Clapper. Have you met him yet?
No.
Okay. So I've had world-renowned teachers on my show, but Dr. Michael Clapper, he wrote and produced a documentary or a video called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Salt, Sugar, and Oil.
Yep.
And it's a great lesson. We gave some DVDs away on the show, but did you know that if you here's a good formula. For every calorie, 1 milligram of sodium.
Okay.
So for every calorie, so once he said that to me, I had been looking in my pantry at like something had 20 calories and it had 500 milligrams of salt. That's not good. So the most it should have is 20 milligrams. So that formula has been excellent for me. So, and it's just like, I'm so aware of the sodium that I have been consuming in my body, even though it's whole food plant-based.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you. Those are the things that as you start learning, look at you and then start video recording those things like, oh, I just learned this. I'm going to go into my pantry. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to look at that.
I like that. Yes. Yeah. And that's like a strong little, just kind of tidbit. 1 calorie equals 1 milligram of sodium. Like that's really easy to remember.
Isn't it? Because how much is too much sodium? No one can really tell you, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like when people eat, like, did you know that the seed inside the apple that's organic, an organic non-GMO apple, eat the seed, eat the whole core, the whole, I used to think that was barbaric. Who eats the core, right? Yeah. That's where the cancer fighting stuff is in.
Yeah.
And like the apricot seed was also, there's so many things that I've learned. It is amazing at your age, Mario, the things you will learn and the things that you'll be able to do. So excited for you.
Yes, thank you.
So excited. Another thing, have you done anything for breakfast other than your jelly? Because I have a wonderful, it's called Lily's Healthy Start, my breakfast to go. So if you ever want someone on your show to teach you how to do a breakfast, it's all whole food, all in, and I do it with frozen food so you can save it in your refrigerator. You have to worry about it going bad. And it really is a really healthy start to your day.
Oh, are you ever in California? I would love to.
I could make myself available.
Okay, let's follow up after this and see.
You know what? I just realized we're recording. I'm going to, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Oh my God.
No. I love, this is how it happens. How I found a guest to my show.
Well, I tell you what, I can contribute towards that because in the 5 years I've been doing this, and let me tell you, my show, when I first started my show, Mario, it was all about being a compliant patient and doing what the doctor tells you. Really? And oh yeah. That's my first year or two of doing my radio show was like, what's the latest in the pharmaceutical industry? Really? My registered service mark is you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against the pill. I am for taking responsibility, just like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I've learned is that our bodies heal naturally. And you'll see that's the stuff that you will be able to impact as well.
Yes, absolutely. So quick question for you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself at my age? I'm 26 years old. You kind of get a feel for where I'm at. Do you have any advice for me or any advice you would have given yourself when you were my age?
Oh gosh, there's so much I would tell myself. I love how open you are. And I would say be curious, but verify. For every hour I do on the air, I research 3 hours.
Wow. Okay.
That's the kind of responsibility I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's the kind of ownership, because people are going to want to do everything Mario does.
It has to be real.
It has to be real. 100%. And so I would say to you, if I could come back as a 26-year-old, I'd say be a curious student, but verify that what you are teaching is real.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of misinformation out there that we can buy hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah.
But and for every research that they've done, there's the complete opposite. So listen to your body. Listen to your intuition. I can tell from you, as someone who's empathic, that you're very empathic as well. So it's great that you released the friends that were bringing you down, your crabs in a bucket, and that you are open to learning a new truth, which is what we talk about, the new truth, and just be curious and research and verify.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's what I would say to you. And anything else? Do you have any questions for me?
I mean, that's usually my favorite one to ask. What is, this is just an interesting question that I like asking people. What's something that you are like passionate about or that you like or love that you don't necessarily talk about on your show? Unless you let it all out on your show. But is there something that people be like, oh my God, I had no idea she was interested in NASA and outer space or something like that? Is there something that like you don't talk about on your show that you kind of wish might fit in somehow?
I'm very spiritual.
Okay.
And so I don't do politics and I don't do religion, but I
Okay.
do
Oh,
spirituality. I do
okay.
spirituality. One of the things that I was told I had to stop on my show was going to experience religions, world religions.
Yeah.
So I've worshiped with Muslims and Sikhs and Hindus and
Wow.
Buddhists. So the last time I had a show with embracing Hinduism, it wasn't I was telling people to become Hindu, because I'm not a Hindu, but
Uh-huh.
I think in life there are things that resonate within us.
Yeah.
And I think that all religions have kept us apart. So I would say that that's the one thing that I started doing, and I did it for about a year. It was called Breaking Down the Walls of Religion, because I believe religion keeps us apart. Like
Oh
if
yeah.
you're not Catholic or Baptist, the Baptists and the Catholics, I was like the Sharks and the Jets. I don't know if you remember West Side Story. You probably never seen it, but but that's a if you Google West Side
I could
Story,
see the two competing gangs.
that's right, the two competing gangs, and that's what religions have become. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to break down the walls
Wow.
and understand. And I think I've taken a lot of who I am today that I didn't understand then into what I do now, which is to be curious and to verify.
Yeah.
Because so spirituality is one, and I bring that into every aspect. So I am a certified life coach,
Uh-huh.
and I bring a mind, body, spirit approach to healing. It's not just the food.
Yeah.
The food is important,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's the traumas in the childhood and the way we think, the way we act, But I would say that the biggest thing is spirituality. My religion has taken a back seat, but spirituality, I would say that that would be one. I don't know where you're at with that one, Mario, but spirituality is so important to become in contact with the divine within you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's so important. I'm very spiritual myself. As soon as I started eating more plant-based foods, I read a book called like The Power of Now by a guy named
Eckhart
Eckhart
Tolle.
Tolle.
Yeah.
And I got really into meditation. I moved to the mountains and just took like 8 months of just like
Wow.
decompression at one point in my life. But something on that note with like food and spirituality, something that I heard recently, and it was like through some big research studies. Sometimes I don't, again, to the verified thing, sometimes I don't know where some of these studies come from, but I was listening to some podcast and they were talking about this study of people who eat healthy and who are also spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions that was asked was, what came first? Were you experiencing an interest in spirituality and then that led you towards eating more plant-based, nutrient-dense foods? Or was it the food that then led to the spirituality?
Mm.
And an overwhelming amount of these people said that they started eating nutrient-dense plant-based foods first, and then they started to become in tune with their physical, which led to their mental, which then eventually led to an interest in spirituality. Which I don't know necessarily what you can take away from that and how many people they necessarily tested, but I was pretty surprised by that. I would have thought that perhaps the spirituality would come first, but the fact that potentially this means that food has the potential to also impact people's spirituality and take them to that realm, I think is very inspiring, because I think that is really a lot of where that next step comes from. Once you feel good, then you're like, how can I think good too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in listening to what you're saying, for me, well, I had a lot of food allergies growing up.
Okay.
And I didn't know it. But as I've done more and more shows on a healthy lifestyle And what means healthy to me may not be what's healthy to somebody else. So what I have learned, which I was completely unaware of, was the emotional component of torturing an animal to death.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so if you can imagine being chased by a tiger and then that tiger devouring you, there are some hormones you're going to be releasing into your carcass that animal is going to consume.
Yeah.
Everything has energy.
Yeah.
Everything has frequency. And so I would say that by eliminating that meat in your body, I could see why it could lead to more spirituality. I know this is my opinion. I don't talk a lot about opinions on my show. I talk about evidence.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have it. I mean, if you listen to all these political shows and you listen to all these gossip shows, it's all opinion. It's not, there's no validation. It's just the way I think.
Yeah.
The way I think doesn't necessarily mean. So this is what I feel. And so I normally don't talk about that too much. So
we're talking about feelings.
Okay, we're talking about feelings. So when I stopped eating animal products, I think, let me see, which one came first? There was something that happened within me where I could no longer ignore the feelings I was having. And it could be that I was about to turn 50. I just was given the radio show. And it could be that
You're 50?
I'm 55.
Wow. Never guessed.
Yes. Thank you.
Looking good.
Thank you. But there was something that happened within me during that time. Something happened. There was a shift that needed to happen. And I went to a place to learn more about myself. I went to a place that was not associated with my church, was not associated with my radio area. So I went all the way to Fort Myers, and I went through a course, and I got to know myself for who I really am. Not Lily as a mom, not Lily as a grandmother or a worker or a business owner or a radio show host. Lily as the soul that was created and the seed was planted that the world molded in a different way.
Wow.
So once I did that, and it kind of just woke me up, I went back and became a life coach for them, which I realized I've always been a life coach, but now I have a certification for it.
Yeah.
But in doing that and allowing my true self to come out, regardless of what people thought of me, I think that's when I first started to really embrace. And, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So this person shows up on my show and challenged me to go raw vegan for a month.
Wow.
That right there, because I've already, learning about myself, that right there caused me to be open to a new truth. Wow. And when you start feeling that in your body, I mean, how have you felt trying vegan? How has your body felt?
I feel so much better. Like, just wake up feeling energized, eating a lot of fruit, like smoothie, eggs and bacon and cheese. And hash browns. I can't believe that was like
part of your
normal to like eat and wake up and feel like that was going to make me have a good day. Like, it blows my mind now. Cause we just eat, feel lethargic, but now I wake up, I have a smoothie. I feel super energized. I try not to eat too many big meals. I eat a lot of small meals throughout the day, and I'm just kind of like constantly just filling my body with nutrients, and my focus, my memory, my energy, like everything feels so much better. Even like my bones and my joints. Like I was kind of getting to a point. This is one that really was dramatic though. I mean, all of it has been pretty dramatic, but I had really bad asthma and acid reflux growing up throughout my entire life. I forget what I read, but I did a ton of research into like different types of foods that cause inflammation, and then what foods could help reduce inflammation in your throat and in your lungs and everything like that. And a lot of the healthy foods kind of all point in the same direction. As soon as you start clearing out, your heart, your brain, it all has to do with eating nutrient dense foods. So it all ties together. But right when I started eating more plant-based healthy foods, my asthma and my acid reflux were gone like that. Like I used to not be able to sleep for an entire month out of the year because my asthma would hit at a certain time. And I couldn't sleep for an entire month. That is completely gone through eating more nutrient-dense plant-based foods. So everything else was more like on a day-to-day like lifestyle basis. I just feel better. But that was one where I was like, I actually just cured myself of something that was, for me, a debilitating disease that affected me during the spring every single year. And I had to like isolate my lifestyle just to accommodate that. But that is completely gone ever since changing the way that I eat.
Well, interestingly enough that you would say asthma and acid reflux, but that was a battle that I have had since I was 9 months old.
Wow.
And so my first hospitalization was at 9 months. And the last time I took asthma medication was probably 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I interviewed Dr. Andrew Saul of Food Matters. And I don't know if you've seen the documentary Food Matters.
I haven't, but I know it.
Dr. Andrew Saul, during one of the breaks, because I saw that food does matter. This is when I first started my journey.
Yeah.
And right before a break, Andrew says to me, "No, Lily, I can get you off your asthma medication." And I was on a lot of heavy-duty stuff.
Uh-huh.
Heavy-duty stuff. And as far as acid reflux, so I was given antibiotics because I was told I had a sinus infection. Turned out it was acid reflux.
Okay.
So the doctors weren't able to help me. You
Uh-huh.
have to become your own MD, your own medical detective,
Yeah.
so that you can discover what's causing it. So here's what happens, Mario. We have a symptom. Your body is screaming at you. Something you're eating is causing a reaction, but we call it asthma, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a name. So therefore, now they can create a pill for it.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I was on every single imaginable, and I was on a drug called Xolair for about 8 years. And I received an EOB from my insurance saying that with the word chemotherapy on it from my allergist. I'm getting chemotherapy. That's like ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I contacted my allergist and they said that's the closest to the medication I was taking for 8 years. So that seed was planted in me that I wanted to get off of that.
Yeah.
And here comes Dr. Andrew Saul, who says to me, "I can get you off all your medication." And when he said, "Take enough vitamin C to be symptom-free," like yesterday, I had to take 20,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Wow.
And so I got off all asthma medication, and I use vitamin C to bowel tolerance. And when you're feeling a little under the weather, you take more. So I start with 10,000 milligrams a day.
Okay.
Or 5,000. I start with 5,000 and then I do another 5,000 on a regular basis. But when I'm not feeling well, I was exposed to, just the environment, as you know. And so yesterday I was feeling under the weather, and so I took about 20, maybe even 30,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So adding that along with what you're doing, you won't need to take anything. I haven't taken Tylenol or pain. I was in a car accident, 5 herniated discs.
Wow.
And 4 herniated discs, 1 spinal compression. And all I've done is microcurrent and pulse electromagnetic therapies. I haven't even done a Tylenol or a pain pill.
Really?
So the body will heal naturally. And this is all the teachers that I've had on my show, and I'm looking forward to having you back on again, Mario, of all the things you're going to learn.
Yes.
The most important thing and the most important advice that I can give you is that remember that what you do, people will want to do. But be 100% certain that that's the message you're going to be giving out there.
Yeah. Wow. That's very powerful.
I would say I have not ended the asthma, because I don't call it my asthma anymore. It's somebody else's asthma. The asthma the reaction. So when I have a reaction, Mario, I look for, what did I do? What's going on? Is it emotional? Is it did I just eat something that that could contribute to what I have.
Mhm.
And then I'll use vitamin C to help promote that healing in the body.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But we could probably talk all day long, and I know you have things to do, and I've got things to do as well, but I absolutely adore you, Mario, and you can come on the show anytime you'd like.
Oh my God. You are the best, Lillian. I am feeling so motivated for the rest of the day. This is like
just for the day. You're motivating me for the day.
Oh no, for a long time, but this is better than my morning tea. This is
thank you. Oh man.
I'm charged up.
Can I use that for my little tagline? Better than your morning tea.
Yeah, I like that.
Continue. I'm turning this off. We're going to have some really heart-to-hearts here. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you